That's right. Oh, yeah. So I'm gonna need. Yeah.
Yeah,
He picks up these doors. I don't know if you know.
I don't know. I know who he's referring to.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Now, you should really do all these minutes.
Mhm.
There's no way that that's.
Okay. Do you want it?
I think if I start going through everything, we'll be doing that.
Okay. Did you respond when she circulated the draft?
Don't know a lot happened there. But that was convenient for me.
Yeah.
How much I had to go?
Yeah.
Not only that, like, what's the cost?
Yeah.
But I had to disturb.
Well, do you want to?
Let's go.
And I'm sure at times that seems like.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing.
I love that idea. Okay, but we will tomorrow pick a date this month so that everything's ready for May. Okay. Where's my gavel?
Oh, no.
Sorry, okay.
It'll be bad.
Well, maybe when you finish that.
Okay, all right. For the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Our first agenda item is a moment of silence in memory of John Quinby Jr., who passed away on March 11th, 2024. Okay, welcome everyone. Item number 2 on the agenda under announcements is our Earth Day Fair, which is scheduled for April 21st, 2024 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Tinicum Township Community Park, which is located behind Cooper Mechanical off of 611. This is also the location for the BEST initiative, which stands for Backyard Environmental Stewardship in Tinicum, which is an event, a series, actually, a 3-part series funded by the Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic River Management Council and a grant that they have given to the township this year. And if you are curious about what this is, go onto the township's website. There is a link for the sign up page and join us on April 21st. The BEST initiative is free, and ultimately participants will walk away with native plants to put in their backyard, the know-how to remove invasives from their own backyard habitats, and they will each receive a copy of a fabulous book that is printed by the National Fish and Wildlife, perhaps? I'm forgetting. But it's a wonderful book, and you could find it on Amazon for about $35. But if you sign up for the Best Initiative, you get it for free. The next item under announcements is that the Bridgeton, Nockamixon, Tinicum Groundwater Management Council is holding 2 water quality seminars. The first is next Monday, April 8th, and the second is April 22nd. These will be held at the Palisades High School, and more information about this is available on the township's website. I believe on the landing page. If you don't see it on the landing page, it's there. You'll see it on the landing page. And this is actually in response to requests from community members from our first Earth Day Fair last year, where the Groundwater Committee had a tent and they were showing kind of what they do. And what they were hearing from folks who attended the Earth Day Fair was a high level of interest in water quality, well water quality. So these should be excellent seminars. The next matter, number 4 under announcements, is our nearest cover bridge, the Frankenfield Bridge, will be closed until April 12th for repairs. Eulerstown Road will be open as of April 1st. Number 6 is that the Board of Supervisors held 2 executive sessions. The first was on March 25th, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 9:25 a.m. to discuss a zoning hearing board matter. And we just had 15 minutes of executive session from 7:15 to 7:30 here at the Township Building to discuss potential property acquisition and a personnel matter. The Board of Supervisors also held a conditional use hearing this evening that started at 7 and is a little more description is later on the agenda. And finally, we have a little add-on announcement. The Park and Rec Committee is interested in receiving community feedback about what the community and residents in Tinicum are interested in seeing happen with our community park. And also our other township park, the Four Brooks Park down on the bottom of Cafferty. So they have put together a questionnaire. I'm not sure that we have all looked at it and are okay with it, but once that happens, the questionnaire will be put up on the township's website, and we are asking everyone to provide their feedback, to offer the Park and Rec, some guidance on what the community wants. We have Chief Madden here for our emergency services and public safety update. Chief, you have a report?
Evening. Tinicum Township Police Department recorded 274 incident reports for the month of March. 117 were for service, 46 were criminal or investigative, including 1 DUI arrest, 1 simple assault arrest, and 1 fraud report. 97 were for traffic, 9 for training, and 5 for court. We had 1 reportable traffic accident on 6/11, which was DUI related. And we've had an average of 1.2 reportable crashes over the last 5 years in March. Officers are currently participating in the aggressive driving initiative through April 28th. The goal of targeted enforcement is to reduce the number of aggressive driving related crashes, injuries, and deaths on roadways throughout the state. The enforcement is part of Pennsylvania's highway safety program and is funded by part of PennDOT's investment of federal funds from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and those who are stopped will be issued citations. We had a great turnout for our first Coffee and Color with a Cop, so we'll definitely be looking to schedule another one of those. Our next event coming up is our spring drug take back on Saturday, April 27th from 10 to 2 at Waring's. And our foundation has sent out a mailer to all the residents with some of our other upcoming events, as well as information on fraud and how to avoid becoming a victim. So I brought some here if anybody's interested in taking a look as well.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Chief Madden on her report?
Just a quick question.
Sure.
The accident reports, they include the ones that the Pennsylvania State Police investigate or just the ones that?
These are just the ones that I investigate, but on your report, you have the ones from the state as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And Chief, are you staying for the full meeting?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm not seeing Mr. Sigety. Okay, I was going to jump around, but we don't have to. Next on the agenda, Chief, I'm sorry, would you mind? I thought we needed to jump around because I was expecting to see someone else here in the room for another matter, and I wasn't going to have their counsel wait, but I don't see them. Next on the agenda is consideration of the ordinance establishing a 35-mile-per-hour speed zone on Irvin Road. You did a speed study on Irvin Road?
Yes,
Okay. And the recommendation was 35 miles per hour.
correct.
Okay. It's here for the board's consideration of whether or not we want to adopt that. It has been advertised? Yes. Is that right?
This one? There was three, I can't remember which, one of them was, I can't remember.
It was this one, I believe.
Urban Road?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to establish a 35-mile-per-hour speed limit for Urban Road.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. And Chief, the last item for you is our discussion of the dirt and gravel road speed studies and sign installations. This afternoon, you emailed to the board the study that you had conducted sometime in 2023, the second half of 2023, where you conducted speed studies of every dirt and gravel road within the township. And I think that from the conversation that we had, the discussion we had at the last board meeting regarding the possibility of posting Teddimer Road, it kind of raised some additional questions. So that is why this matter is on here on the agenda, and I would, John, is there anything?
Yeah,
you want-
I went to the planning commission meeting and they discussed this at length, the speed limit on Teddimer Road and the posting of the speed limits on Teddimer Road as to whether it's really needed to have a speed limit to start with or to post it, because it takes away from some of the scenic, value of the road. And in general, the study for this, the rest of the township dirt roads, whether we should continue to post these roads. And so the planning commission kind of determined that it was not really something that we should spend time and money on doing, posting these roads. I look back on the minutes from back, what the heck was this? This was June 6th of 2020, or 2023. This was last year sometime when they discussed dust on the dirt roads. And that's what was the impetus of getting speed studies, was to keep the speed down so the dust would stay down. And since then, the calcium chloride treatments began again and seemed to get the dust down in these areas where it was a problem. Was one on the permanent school road was a particular issue. I spoke to that person in October and she said after the material went down, there was no more problem with dust. So your opinion also, is it really necessary to continue to post these roads with speed limits?
I do not think it's necessary.
Okay, great. And now you had an issue with on there was a resident that had a concern about a sharp curve or something. You wanted a speed limit and or mirrors for the curve.
Yes.
Are the mirrors an issue?
I don't see them being an issue. There's some guidelines that they'd have to follow, but if that helps them with the site issue, then
So if they were to pay for that, it wouldn't be a safety issue if we put those on there.
no.
As opposed to
Mhm.
a bunch of speed limit signs.
What road is that, Chief?
This is on Teddimer.
Oh. Okay.
All right, well, if you could, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest, I mean, I did receive the feedback from the planning commission regarding their recommendation to the board that the dirt and gravel road studies be ended. the reality is they've already all been completed. So, you know, I was thinking that perhaps the planning commission could review your speed studies, the 27 pages that you emailed us, you know, last year, and then you sent it again to this composition of the board. Because perhaps there is a road or two on that list that maybe speed signs would be appropriate for. I mean, you didn't conduct all those speed studies for nothing, like for no purpose. There was a legitimate purpose justifying the work that you and your officers did. That would be, rather than just stop it and not move forward, I would ask that the planning commission take a look at the full study that you conducted.
Were there more dirt and gravel roads that you studied
Yes,
that weren't discussed?
Ton of-
that, yeah, I mean, I emailed it to everybody tonight, the ones that I had sent you, there's, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6,
How many more remain
I did 14 in total, it looks like.
that you've studied that
Mhm.
we have no signs of?
That includes some that are already posted.
So there may be 10 or so that have studied, but we haven't taken any action on, is that correct?
Correct.
And just by way of background, the sodium chloride treatment is that right?
Calcium.
The calcium chloride treatment that John was referring to was something that our Public Works Department would apply to our dirt and gravel roads every year. And it is a treatment that once it dries on the road, it does act as a dust suppressant. However, during COVID, the cost of that material went up tremendously, you know, as the cost of many different types of materials. And the township was not purchasing it for a couple of years. And for residents who live on dirt and gravel roads and have homes that are situated close to the roadway, not having the dust suppressed during the dry summer months was a real problem. So I would ask, I'll make a motion to have the planning commission review the complete study. Sure. Maybe we can get a second and then you can make your public comment? May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
I want to hear what the discussion is.
Come on up, Carl.
I have a question for the chief also. Our position was that if there wasn't any issues if there weren't issues on the roads,
Mhm.
we didn't understand why we would be reviewing it. If there were complaints, I mean, those roads have been not signed for ever, I guess.
Mhm.
And we didn't quite understand why we would be reviewing things if there weren't an issue. The topic of sign pollution came up. We have some really beautiful gravel scenic roads. Some are classified as scenic and some are not, but most of them are. And to put speed limit signs up when they're not necessary, it's costly to the township. And if there's not an issue, we didn't see why we would be reviewing it.
Mhm.
Question for the chief. These speed studies, as far as you know, there's like no expiration date on them.
As far as I know, no.
So if in the future, somebody came in and complained, the speed study would be done already.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to redo them.
Well, maybe we can modify that motion to suspend them unless there is a concern in the road. And the study's already been done and we can send it to PC for their review. How's that sound?
That would possibly be okay. Is it this board's expectation that the Public Works Department will be applying the calcium chloride solution this summer? Do we have enough in stock to do that? Or are we planning on buying more?
Well, I don't know if we have enough in stock, to be honest with you, but assuming the price is reasonable, they'll probably be buying enough that they feel that they can apply it this summer and not run short, you know?
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to revisit this if the price starts to go crazy
Yeah.
again and you think about it.
Wait, the price according to these minutes escalated from about $6 a gallon for that's 24 to almost 5 times. It went up.
When is this?
Well, they're asking me to do a lot of math here, but say it was like $6 a gallon with 4-gallon minimum for a total of cost of 25,000. That was during the high cost. But it had recently dropped down to its normal levels. and that it was a purchase of 4,000 gallons was going for $5,200 now.
Okay. So that's our point here.
Yeah.
As long as the price stays moderate, then they're gonna continue to do this. If it's not, then I'm sure the public works people are gonna come here and say, what do you want us to do?
Yeah,
I'm okay for if we do that, at this juncture, Rich.
Okay.
Now that we have the speed study from the chief, we know what would need to be done should we decide to do something. However, I do, I hold in my mind the one particular family that lives very close to the road, and their children were not able to walk to the end of the road to catch the bus because cars would pass and they would be covered in dust. They weren't able to play in their front yards. And the way the house is, there's really isn't a backyard, and they weren't able to open their windows. So I wouldn't want them to really have to deal with that again for any period of time.
Is this the one on Permanent School Road?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was resolved though, at least to her satisfaction at this
it
point.
was as of October of last year.
Yeah, so what happens this year, then we're gonna have to look at it again.
Yeah.
See how it works out.
I'm just hoping we'll be poised to act quickly. Okay, good. So with Rich's amendment to my motion,
Have to have another second?
I don't know.
I'll
I'll second your amendment.
Yeah.
Does that work, Scott?
Second, and now discussion on that?
Discussion. Any public comment? Yes.
Todd Quimby. Rather than litter our roads with signs, why not, if you're gonna put speed limit signs up, put them at the beginning. Just saying the whole road is a certain speed limit.
I think there's some legal requirements. The chief can address.
Yes,
that.
there is.
There's some distances that they have.
But we have no way to patrol the speed limit, so why waste the township's money?
I hear you.
Put one sign up.
Is that acceptable legally?
Not if you want to enforce it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any further public comment? No, this is on this topic. Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Now we are into our first round of public comment.
This is right up on the agenda.
No, this is,
The on the agenda, this the next part is public comment.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the first one.
I don't think we got
Yeah,
it.
just for the agenda.
Yes. Yeah, but I don't think we've limited the first public comment to agenda items. Have we done that?
Yeah, we have.
We have done that.
Yeah.
Okay. So this first round of public comment is for agenda items only. Is there any public comment? Okay.
So we're gonna do another one later.
Hearing none.
Public comment.
So under our Public Works Department. Yes.
Rob.
It's not- Under the Public Works Department, the Board of Supervisors has accepted the resignation of Doug Skelton, our longtime director of our Public Works Department. He has been with the township since 1987, if my memory serves me. And his retirement will be effective April 26th. Which creates an opening in the Public Works Department for the director position. And I make a motion to promote Matthew Overbeck to the Director of the Public Works Department of Tinicum Township, effective April 27th, 2024. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Which creates an opening within the Public Works Department. And the township has posted the position of truck driver / laborer. Applications are currently being received. The deadline to submit an application for this position is April 5th. And we have already received quite a few.
Can I ask a question about this job description for the position of Tinicum Township Public Works Department laborer / go to the second page in D, mental effort concentrated attention 75% of the time.
Mhm.
I don't know what that means. Being sleep 25% of the time?
To me, it sounds like some kind of like social security language for the essential requirements of the position. And no, it doesn't mean you can sleep 25% of the time.
Well, I don't even know why it's there. I still don't understand.
Yeah,
Is this a legal thing?
I
It
believe
could
it
be,
is.
but I don't, I'm not.
Put your mic on, Scott.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there could be something like Eleanor is describing, but that's, more employment law stuff. That's not something
Mhm. Yeah.
I personally handle.
Well, this is not something that somebody's gonna have to sign off on, is that correct?
What do you mean sign off
This
on?
is what I received, an email from the township.
That's a job description.
Mhm. Terry, do you want to speak to the job description?
They're not. To answer Rich's question, no, they're not gonna have to sign off on
Thank
that
you.
job description.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you have to be able to lift however many pounds and stand for however many hours. It's that kind of.
It was on, that I
requirement.
understood. It was only the concentrated.
Concentration.
That's the only thing. I
Okay. Under old business, we are ready now for the Headquarters Road Bridge update, and Kurt is up first.
Yes, Mrs. Chair. So for the Headquarters Road, Bridge, I want to give an update. This office has completed the GP11, submission plan, for permitting. We had our surveyor out, through the month of March, and they had completed the survey, to basically recreate PennDOT's easement area, which established the center line along Headquarters Road, and also to identify PennDOT's easement area. We had prepared an easement plan with temporary and permanent easement areas that would basically the township would need over the Burris Capital properties as well as the adjacent Hostley property. We had also prepared legal descriptions of the temporary and permanent areas that are required or needed. And we had forwarded them to the solicitor's office, which I just received a draft easement form that the plan and legal descriptions are to supplement. The next step on that would be to finalize the easements with the property owners. Once the easement document is fully prepared. And we also have a call scheduled tomorrow with Doug Bond to discuss the maintenance plan that we're currently in the process of preparing, as well as to discuss cost items related to the future maintenance of the bridge, as well as construction of the bridge. Since last month, the solicitor's office has also been working on the revised proposal with McMullen Associates for the design of the structure. So we're pretty much ready to make the permit submission, but I feel it would be a good idea to get the easement in place before we formally make the submission.
That makes sense. Scott, did you want to provide an update on the service agreement with McMullen and Associates?
Yeah, so if you recall last meeting, we spoke about some issues. I think there was a general consensus of the board that a few things needed to be changed. One of them was the first item was the insurance and the risk allocation. McMullen agreed to increase that from 1 million to 3 million. It's a good number for this type of work. The other issues were they're just providing us with their copy of their insurance certificate with us being named as an additional insured. That was not an issue. And the other one was changing the forum to here in Bucks County versus Virginia. And they were agreeable to that.
So this one that I have that's dated March 25th is gonna be revised.
That is the revised one.
No, it says Virginia.
So
the arbitration is done in Virginia.
no.
rather
The forum is here. That the Virginia, just the way they do work and things like that, it was a choice of law. So the forum is still here, so work would be here, but any law governing the agreement would be related to Virginia.
And that's some good interest.
That's it, yeah, it's in everyone, yes.
You may want to make a correction, go in, do it the
Yeah.
correct way. There will be some minor modifications to the original layout, such as displaying the wing walls to improve the turning radius. Kurt, did you review that?
There was some brief discussion. Sorry. There was some brief discussion, with Doug Bond on that.
I mean, that doesn't affect any of the permits that you're applying for, is that correct?
Correct.
Because there's
This
nothing
is
that's
the
gonna go into the
GP
wall.
11, that's gonna be part of the structural, design of the.
So that doesn't,
structure.
trigger any DEP requirement.
My
that you're
knowledge
aware of.
At this time, no.
The geotechnical report, I assume, is the report that you've done when you dug behind the abutment and looked at the soils behind the abutment.
So
That's what he's referencing here. in
that
this.
was done by, McMullen Associates.
Right,
the
but
geotech.
that's what we done just 6 months ago or something.
Correct.
So I just wanted to be sure. Okay. You're okay with that word endeavor, right?
Yeah. So, yes.
Rich, while you're holding on to that, John, do you have any questions about the amended McMullen agreement?
No.
Okay, it is on our, somewhere on this long
Number
agenda.
2, it's right after this one.
Okay, so while we're talking about it, I'll make a motion to authorize the execution of the revised McMullen and Associates fee proposal and engagement agreement. May I have a second?
A second.
Any public comment? Any questions from the board? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so that's the good news for the headquarters road bridge update, but it's not all good. The township has received letters that were sent toward the end of last week. The first letter was a letter from the Delaware Riverkeeper Network addressed to Judge Jean Prater, who is the federal judge overseeing some of the litigation. I believe the date of that letter was March 25th or 6th.
March 22nd,
Second.
March 22nd, March 28th, and March 29th. were the
Okay.
Dates of the letter.
March 22nd was the Riverkeeper Network's letter. That's the date it was sent. The first response to that letter was sent by PennDOT on March 28th, and then Attorney Berger, Vertus Capital's counsel, sent a response letter on March 29th. And so the Riverkeeper Networks, just to summarize, their letter was simply a request to the judge that Her Honor schedule a mediation, that the parties were close, that between the Riverkeeper Network and PennDOT, there was just one very kind of narrow point where the parties haven't yet reached an agreement, but they were hopeful that that was possible. And requesting that a mediation be scheduled. PennDOT's response letter acknowledged that yes, the Riverkeeper and PennDOT are close, acknowledged their willingness to participate in a mediation. However, PennDOT explained to Judge Prater in this letter that it is PennDOT's position that there will be no turnback of this bridge unless not only all the current litigation is withdrawn, but all future claims, whatever they may be waived. Which, for the Riverkeeper Network, there are no future unknown claims that have been expressed to be waived. What it does implicate is it basically makes PennDOT is making a requirement of their turnback of the headquarters road bridge to Tinicum Township. Mr. Gittimal withdrawing all of his current claims, which he has agreed to do, and waiving any future claims that he may elect to bring against PennDOT. which puts the township in an untenable situation because we can only make our own decision. We can't make a third party unrelated to the township do anything. As everyone here in this room and joining us, we all have a right to protect our property interests. So simply put, it doesn't seem as if PennDOT is going to allow the township to solve this problem for our community. Let me look at my notes. So PennDOT has stated they've announced a deadline at the end of this month for a turn back to happen if it's going to happen. And this board doesn't see that as realistic at all. We also, I'll speak for myself, I don't think that PennDOT is in a position to put this project out to bid, to put their own version of this project out to bid, the way they have represented to this community on February 20th. They said they would be ready to do that April 25th. I don't see how that could possibly happen. So, for what this means for our residents is it's really more of the same. And I know that it is really disappointing. This board has been hopeful that we were able to finally address this for the community. So that is the update of what has transpired so far. And in our brief discussion this evening in executive session, I think we're in agreement that it won't change what the township is doing here. Like, we will continue to pursue this as the solution because we, at least two of us have felt that this is the fastest way to any bridge. So we will continue doing the due diligence that we have been undertaking with our township engineer and our solicitor. And we will get this project up to the point where we would be putting it out to bid, but then we won't obviously be putting it out to bid until PennDOT says that they'll give us the bridge. So, but we'll get it to that point. And, with knowing that, with litigation, things can change, new things can come up, things can go away. But the township will be positioned to act if and when we have the opportunity to do so. Did you have anything?
No, I was in agreement with everything.
Okay. So that is our update. Any public comment on our update? Mr. Gittimo?
Yeah. Oh, thanks for that. And I'd quibble with some of the wording and I know it's a tricky situation. So let me say there's some new updates, by the way. First, but just to clarify, Vertus has not asked PennDOT to drop any litigation against me. Not at all. They want to sue me, they can go at it. However, PennDOT is asking me to drop litigation against them for what we have alleged in documents as to be fraudulent activity. They desperately, in my understanding, want that to be resolved. So we're not really in a position to do that right now. Now, having said that, these letters that Eleanor referred to were all to the federal judge, and we said in our letter that we don't see any daylight between Tinicum Township and the Riverkeeper. None. We are on board with the entire plan. The only thing we're asking for is the ability to continue our litigation against PennDOT to recover my extensive litigation over their fraudulent easement assertion. That's all. So if everybody here can still get my property access, you can get whatever you need, you can get all the easements, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, we're not the bad guy here. We, if PennDOT would simply say, Steve, you can continue suing us and we'll continue suing you. I'm like, that's fine. That's totally fine. So, you know, put your big boy pants on, PennDOT, and let's keep litigating. Okay, so they went crying to ask for mediation, and now we have a date. Looks like April 11th is a date we're all coalescing around, and we'll see what happens. So there could be a resolution, Eleanor, on April 11th. I will say another thing is that this issue of, and to Eleanor's point, which is, I agree with that 1,000%. PennDOT is in no position, and that's why they're so desperate to get things resolved soon, before they have to admit to everybody that what other people said at that last big meeting was not truthful. There is no way they can put these bids out, and there's no way they can even resolve it this year, right? The only chance to get this in 18 months is with this group right here in the way we're going. Otherwise, you're talking 5-10 years from now, because they don't have a legal easement and they know they don't. So what happened is that we had a hearing scheduled for April, I think it was this Friday, on the Board of Property claim about the fraudulent easement appeal, which has got a lot of teeth to it. And that hearing was kicked to June. So they can't even go out and basically say to people, and they knew that that was probably going to get kicked, or maybe they did, maybe they didn't, I don't know. But but when they asserted that they can get this thing done and bid out to bids on April 25th, there was no way that that could happen. And now, unless they're going to go out with bids and saying, well, you can bid on this right now, but there's an appeal on June 9th that could go against us, even though they'll say they have a small chance of losing that. And we say it's almost overwhelming that we're going to win it, right? So they can then take that to the contractors and let them bid. I think you won't get a bid less than 10 million on that, right? So, and PennDOT's budget, I think, as we heard from Ryan, he testified, is 2.8 million or 2.7. So I guess really that's it. So it's not, if PennDOT will just allow us to keep litigating, we're fine with that. If they want to we will have a mediation, assuming everyone agrees to these dates, and we'll attend and in good faith, hopefully settle it.
Is the feeling that everybody's going to agree to the April 11th date? Because that's critical.
Yes, we do have, Kenda Gardner, who's the PennDOT person, gave certain dates that she could and couldn't do. Tim had 2 dates he could and couldn't do. One of them overlapped with Kenda's. Janine had several dates, 2 of which overlap with Kenda. And I had a problem with 1 date, but that was overlapped with somebody else not doing it. And otherwise I was available for a couple
So
days.
it looks promising.
I mean,
for the 11th.
I told Tim, maybe 3 hours ago that April 11 worked for me, but
Okay.
he had agreement with everybody else.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Is your mediator available on April
Yeah,
11th?
Richmond, and he was the guy who got us the mediation for the original turn back to you guys. So we'll see what happens. I mean, look, let me just say it this way, I think they have a lot of liability. So I think if I was them, I'd settle.
Thank you for the update.
Yes, thank you for the update. And I suppose, Mr. Goodall, if on April 11th, any questions come up by the mediator that would call the township to respond, I believe Scott would be available.
It's really not going to be that kind of thing. Like I
Okay.
said, there's no daylight between Wood Tiger. I mean,
Mhm.
if Wood Tiger says, hey, Steve, we need you to do this, right? We need 4 more feet of your land. Yes, Bruce, right? It's, and if you guys come in and say, hey, look, we want to, I got to run it by my wife to see if she'll go with these trees and shrubs. And I don't know where that's going to come out. I don't have control of that, I'll tell you. But assume that we can't reach agreement on that. That might be something we have to come back and push back here on. But there's nothing, no daylight on up here, Wood Tiger, River Keeper, myself. And ultimately, I think PennDOT on this one issue of allowing litigation to go forward, or settling it, there's no issues even with PennDOT. I mean, and again, I think you put it well. They have no choice at this point. They are between a rock and a hard place, and they're not in a good position.
Thank you. Mr. Quimby.
Simple question.
Just wait.
Simple question.
When our township engineer's working on this, is he keeping a tally and who picks up that tab?
Oh, he is, of course, keeping a tally, and the Wood Tiger Fund has already given the township, so the township has received
Sufficient funds.
sufficient funds.
Very
That's
pay
good
for it.
language. And I'll just,
Make sure.
yeah, of course, and also for our solicitor's time, Mr. Quimby, in negotiating the easements and the agreement with McMullen and Associates, and I will share with the community that the Wood Tiger Fund has delivered on their promise of $1 million in a township account. So that has happened already. So we're in possession of, a lot of money to get this started.
And that's in addition to a prior escrow account for everything prior to the action that was taken in February.
Correct. So that is our update. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
Hi, Tim Cashman, resident. Is there any way to get a copy of those letters that you guys received?
Yes, yes, our solicitor. Are they available to the public?
I will have to talk and discuss, but we have copies, and if we can make them available, we will, yeah.
Okay, that's great. The other question is the board supporting the Riverkeeper's stance on what they're doing? Because they did lose the federal, in 2020, in March of 2020, they lost that federal litigation with Judge Jean Prater. So, and I wrote a letter to her and she answered back right away and said, as far as she's concerned, everything was null and void and it was over with. With that being said, why would you support something that was already thrown out of court? Being that they were in court, they had a situation they wanted resolved. They fought it, they lost, but they still want to have the opportunity to do something else in the future. It's been 12 years. Why would you support the Riverkeepers?
Thank you, Mr. Cashman.
Sure. No comment on that?
I can make a comment on that.
No.
Okay.
To be honest with you, hold on. Tim, I'm not sure I understand the question. We didn't say that we're opposing anything or getting in the middle of anything. And what I think Eleanor said, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that PennDOT and the Riverkeeper they feel comfortable they're going to be able to resolve their issues. They're comfortable with that. It's just what Steve had talked about that they have to resolve. And that's what he was talking about, his issue.
But maybe I misunderstood something. Wasn't the Riverkeepers' position with PennDOT?
Well, no, there was lawsuits that were still pending with them, with PennDOT, with the Riverkeeper, and they think that they can resolve those pretty easily.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Just to correct or amplify what Tim was saying, is that the litigation 2020 did go against Riverkeeper. That was actually before I got involved and some other issues came up. But the Riverkeeper, well before I got involved, appealed that decision as they're allowed to do. And it was the appellate process that led to the stalemate, because at that point, again, the issue came up of whether this is both a valid permit, which we vehemently say it's not. And I believe that PennDOT has already agreed that it's not in one court, though they haven't told the world yet. And Prater, Judge Prater, who's pretty savvy, it is a little bit even surprising to me that she has stopped this thing in its tracks, because I think she understands how significant this easement is. And that's the only reason that she even allowed the mediation, because she could have just simply say, you're done here, Mr. Get 'em all, go take a seat in the back of the room. But she didn't do that. She said, we better have mediation, and we've had mediation, and now she's going to do it again.
Thank you. Anything further from the public on this agenda item? Seeing none. Number 3 under E, old business, is the consideration of the updated resolution regarding the Devil's Tea Table. So at the last business meeting, the Board of Supervisors didn't reach an agreement as to the language for this updated resolution in connection with the Devil's Tea Table. We then decided that we would work on it at our work session, which we had on the 3rd Tuesday of March, and we did work on it. And We've circulated an updated draft. Have we all had an opportunity to review it?
I have.
That's my copy.
This is your copy and I wrote it, so.
I have it open here, I can't- I have it
Uh,
open.
Okay. Do I need to read the resolution, Scott?
No, you do not need to
Okay.
read it.
I'll make a motion to approve the second Tinicum Township resolution regarding the NJDOT Route 29 Rockfall Mitigation Project, Kingwood Township, New Jersey.
I'll second. There's no date there, so.
What do you mean there's no date? Like
Yeah.
on, at the end?
This might have, I don't know how many revisions there were.
Oh.
But the latest revision received within the past 2 weeks.
Yes, okay. So you've made the
second.
motion.
No, you made the
You
motion.
made the
You
motion.
said, okay, any public comment? Any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Rich. Number E4. So the planning commission worked on identified a kind of a gap in our ordinances regarding the definition for warehouses, and also identified some incongruity within our ordinances relating to fences and then driveway gates. So in an effort to clean that up, the planning commission put together kind of proposed language that then Scott put into actual
Yeah.
amendment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, the planning commission sent something, where, you know, there was the question for the warehousing. I'll get to that one second. I'm going to start with the gates and the front fences. They had recommended language. I just put it into an ordinance form. It seems congruent with what you're trying to do. It seems like a proper idea. So that was what was drafted and what's in front of you right now. With regards to the warehousing, there was talks about the different uses and definitions and how we had mini warehouse. I took a look at the zoning ordinance. You have a use. It's wholesale business, wholesale storage, and warehousing. I compared that to some of our other clients with regards to warehousing. And it's a lot of the same definitions and language, that the use itself is all combined into one. Some smaller boroughs that we represent do have it partially cut out, but that wholesale business, the wholesale storage, warehousing use with regards to township seems to be pretty consistent here in Bucks County. So I didn't put anything together for that because it's similar to the language we have elsewhere. So I was going to need more guidance if you wanted to go forward with anything. But with regards to the proposed language, the planning commission, you have that in front of you. And if you would like to move forward, we can send it to the Bucks County Planning Commission for review and then potential advertisement and vote.
Has our planning commission seen the language that you put together for the driveway gates?
It's their language. We took directly from
Okay.
them. Yes. But yeah, it would obviously get sent to you too. Yeah, it would obviously get sent to them as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that it's sent to the Bucks County Planning Commission, our driveway gates ordinance, as well as to the our own planning commission.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any public comment? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then, so for the warehouse, what I just said only pertain to driveway gates.
Correct.
So now we're dealing with the definition of warehouse.
Yeah, I would like, just if you would like me to look further and maybe change the definition, or
Mhm.
if you believe, knowing that you have this same use as some of our other township clients, if you would like me to leave it for now, or would you like me to investigate other definitions?
Could I ask the plan?
Of course.
Member, is there some language that you folks have looked
Mhm.
at that you'd like to see?
Yeah, I think we submitted it to the Board of Supervisors.
Can you come up, Carl?
Carl Ruthart, member of the Planning Commission. We are trying to make sure that there are no holes in our
Mhm.
ordinance.
Mhm.
We realized that we only had, from our perspective, only had a mini warehouse, and there seemed to be some holes in there. So we tried to define as many versions of different warehouses as we possibly could. So it was in there. So if we ever were faced with it, we had something in our ordinance rather than having nothing in our ordinance that would pertain to someone's application.
And Scott, that's what you looked at, the whole.
Mhm.
you're talking about?
The only thing I got was the driveways language.
Yeah, I didn't get that either, to be honest with you.
When we sent it to. the
I'm not saying you
township,
didn't send it, I'm just
We
saying.
can, no, you didn't get anything.
Just the driveway language, yeah.
All right.
Were they on the same night?
Mhm.
I'll send it to you again. I
Okay.
have it. Yeah, we looked at different ordinances from, as you did, from different townships in New Jersey and here, and we tried to fill in the voids basically that we saw. So I will get that to you and
Yeah.
you can review it.
Carl, I think it maybe 18 months or so ago, I believe I sent to maybe the planning commission, maybe just a member or two, like a model ordinance for warehouses that has been written and has been is circulated amongst municipalities in response to kind of the over build out of warehouses that has saturated the Lehigh Valley and municipalities towards the southern end of our county. Did the planning commission review that as a
We did
group?
review it. We didn't feel it was necessary as long as we had definitions of the warehouse. And since warehouses are only permitted in the PI district, we just felt the void was the definitions and that the rest of our ordinance would cover what was necessary.
So this protects us a little bit against any kind of curative amendment, because now we have definition.
Well, that was the whole point, right? Of
Yeah.
not having when someone's coming in and proposing something that's not in our ordinance. It's an issue.
They put it wherever they
Well,
can win.
well, right. I mean, I think I've seen that happen in other townships. So we're, you can't anticipate everything, but we're trying to do the best we can and look out into the future of what may happen. And so we're ready for it. With the cryptocurrency, we did that. I think there was a few other ordinances recently that were trying to anticipate potential problems down the road. And so we're ready for it.
Okay, great. So we'll make sure that Scott receives what the planning commission has sent
Sure.
up to us. And we'll just roll the warehouse definitions issue to the May agenda. Under new business, number one, may I have I'll make a motion to authorize our staff to seek bids for our seal coat bid package and advertise that bid.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to ask our township engineer to conduct a truck study of Hollow Horn Road and Durham Road. Oh. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, what is it that he's investigating?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Bring your mic closer. to the mic.
what we have here is Hollow Horn Road has a sort of a weird mix of regulations from Easton Road to Headquarters Road, and some no regulation at all. From Easton Road to Urban Road, there's no trucks with trailers. That was instituted in connection with the establishment of Urban Road as a scenic road. For some reason, they tagged Hollow Horn Road on with the no trucks restriction that's on Urban Road. We have no truck, and there's not any kind of truck restriction from Urban Road to Red Hill Road. And then from Red Hill Road out here to Municipal Road, no trucks over 8,000 pounds are allowed. Yeah, it's 8,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds rather. And then from there all the way down to Headquarters Road, there are no restrictions. The road out here was 1989 was when this restriction went from here to Red Hill Road, also included Brick Church Road and Red Hill Road. So that's what the current situation is right now with the road. And what we'd like to do is just get it all under one restriction that would keep the trucks from larger commercial vehicles from Urban Road or Hollow Horn Road as a through truck route. We're not looking to restrict trucks that are coming in for local deliveries or to service residents with stone or service vehicles or residents who need to use it. I know there's a resident that two residents that use it, live on Groover Road, who use it. That's not what we're looking to do. It's transient trucks who are coming through the township, creating a lot of damage on the road that we then as township residents pay for. We don't receive money like the state does to handle that kind of truck traffic, and the road may not have the ability to handle it, and that's what the engineer is going to look into as to what size the road is, what its construction is, what it's able to handle, and that's what we will base the restriction upon.
Okay, so it's gonna be based on actual road configuration and compatibility and everything else.
That's why we're bringing an engineer in. We could do it willy-nilly, but we'd rather have the engineer
Okay.
take a look at it and
Thank
give us
you.
his
Explained it, well, thank you.
the same thing.
Okay, any further public comment? Yes, come on down.
Bride Vanderlily. Does that mean the people that have their trucks coming into our company to be worked on are going to get pulled over if there's signs saying no trucks?
Absolutely not. That would be considered local business, and that's not what we're looking to get rid of.
But when the truckers are coming down to take their trucks to be worked on, they're going to see them signs that say no trucks. So
Well-
then they're going to say, how am I going to get into this business?
There'll be a local, accept local deliveries on there. We'll put with that exception on particularly on the Durham Road. Most of us know that. I mean, I've done that.
But the truckers that come in from Virginia or from Philadelphia or Allentown sometimes might not know that. So they're coming onto our road. They come down 611, they get told to turn left onto Dorm Road because that's an easy way to get onto Dorm Road instead of turning
Yeah.
onto Farm Schools left.
Mhm,
And it's too hard for them to try to turn
mhm.
everything, so it's
Yeah.
easier to go down Dorm
I don't
Road.
disagree with you, but that's not the traffic that should be, these guys should know this, whether they're from Virginia.
Yeah, but
Maryland,
nowadays the truckers don't, but I
They
mean,
should.
I know, but I'm just saying, some of them don't.
I would think that they should. I mean,
Okay.
I knew it.
So were they're not gonna get our Tinicum
They will not
Township?
get ticketed.
Okay,
If they're coming to your location, if they get pulled over by the police would be able to ask them where they're going. If they're legitimately I'm going to Vanderlili's, then they're not gonna get ticketed.
okay.
I think part of the study is to figure out where the problem areas are, look at the big picture, and then make recommendations back to the board,
Yeah.
based on the.
Well, even modern, they're coming down our
You
roads
have
with
modern, you have
with
fire-
concrete on the
outdoor
back of their
fire
truck. What,
company.
yeah, so I mean, where do you draw the line?
Wearings.
Right.
The back, I know, I know about all that. And, that's not what's gonna be, those guys are not gonna get tickets. That's not what we're trying to control. As I said, what we're trying to do is the truckers who are coming from, Bedminster or wherever and going to New Jersey and using our roads as cut
Well, I
throughs.
do know a lot of the truckers do come into our business and they say, how do I get to Jersey from here?
It's a
And
good
that's
question.
two lefts and a right, I think it is, if I'm correct, or two rights and a left or something. I forget how it goes. But since the bridge has been out, now they're not giving that direction.
They'd have to go up to Marenstein Road or Dark Hollow Road on 611. That's the route to take. I mean, I
Okay.
always took Marenstein Road. When I was working for Waring's, I took Marenstein Road.
Yeah, but when you're
Not
getting
the
told which
easiest.
way to go,
What's that?
when we're telling our people which way to go, we tell them pull out of here, make a right, then go back, but the bridge is out, as you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
we are, it was always two
Yeah.
lefts and a right or something. I forget what the joke was. Two rights and a left or something
Which roads were you taking them on?
on the back roads to get over to New Jersey to 32.
They should best send them up to 611 to Marenstein.
Okay,
I mean, the bridge is right there. The Milford Bridge is right there.
Mm.
That's why I always went. I wouldn't want to use these roads
okay.
personally. I mean, I didn't like using them.
Mhm.
I could, probably, and the chief pulls me over, she might let me go regardless of where I'm going, but I didn't do it anyway. I stuck with either Dark Hollow Road or Marenstein Road to
Yeah.
get to the River Road, depending on which direction I was
Mhm.
going.
Okay.
And,
So-
and what we're deciding tonight is whether or not we'll have Kurt do that, investigation. Nothing's changing tonight.
Okay, there's not being signs put up and stuff like that.
Not
Yeah.
making
tonight,
us
like
pull out of-
it,
Not making us pull out of that. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys know pulling off Dorm Road onto 611 is a real bad situation.
Mhm.
The officer also know down at the stoplight, down there, trying to pull out of there onto that road, even with the light, there's accidents after accidents there.
Yes.
So I don't think it's safe for our truckers to go past our road and then try to turn at the light either.
So nothing's changing as of right now.
Okay.
So we'll just hear from Kurt after,
Okay, I
after
just
he
wanted to
does
see
it.
how it was gonna be.
Yeah, certainly. And,
Just
and
looking into it, so we're just trying to get the damage off of our local roads from transients. the ones you're sending aren't even that, it's not that many. I'm sure you're not sending a whole bunch of.
Oh, no,
Sure.
and we bobtail out to go out to 611. We go road to farm school and then out to
Yeah.
611 to do a truck run when we work on them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's difficult to get through this township on a truck. I spent a lot of time doing it with Warings, trying to get to the other side of there, Owena Bridge, covered bridge.
Right.
From Warings, because it's quite a journey.
Okay.
So I understand, I fully understand. I spent a lot of years behind, doing the commercial driving. I understand it's a real pain in the neck with truck restrictions and getting around them. And I'm not trying to make it difficult on them. I'm just trying to keep a protection for our residents. We don't have to pay for damage to roads that we really shouldn't have to pay for. The state roads should have to carry that traffic. The state gets the tax money for it. They have the better constructed roads to handle. What we have, and that's what I'm trying to accomplish here.
Okay.
I don't want to make it onerous on these guys, but there are ways for guys coming down 611 that they get to New Jersey rather than using Hollow Horn Road.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not talking about your customers, just in general.
Well, I just was worried that you're gonna say, okay, Farm School Road and Dorm Road's getting signs saying no truck. And we're like, what are you gonna do?
We know you're there.
Yeah, we know you're there. We know that Warings is there and I'm full, because I work for them. I know that those two guys are there too. Warings and M&W have
Yeah.
a lot of truck traffic.
Yeah.
Taking the septic tanks out from M&W. I used to go down, probably shouldn't have done it, down Oak Grove to Hollow Horn so I could go to the light.
Right.
I mean, that's.
But that's
way-
safe though. I mean, it's safer
Yeah.
to go that way than to pull out of Dorm Road.
Right, exactly. And because it's not only, it's the angle makes it tough to see
Right.
out that side of the car. I
Because
get
the
all
cars
that.
Come over wide and then
Yeah.
you can't go out anyway.
I get all that. And it's just, so I went down to the light at Hollow Horn. But even like an M&W doing that is not something that we're looking to stop
Mhm.
necessarily.
Okay.
It's, as I said, I've got 53-foot long tractor trailers going in front of my house right now, at least once or twice a week. They don't belong on that road. They don't belong on Hollow Horn Road. And
I
right
can't
now.
speak for them. I don't know
And
that.
right now, and the way it's posted though, and the way that it is, it's not coming off of their GPS as a restricted road.
That's because they have the wrong GPS. You buy truck GPS and regular car GPS and the people aren't telling them that.
But even the truck GPS is not keeping them off the road from 611.
Okay.
And unfortunately, they follow that as opposed to a sign. So my understanding is once it's fully restricted, it will come off the GPS.
Okay.
Okay.
right,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
your comment.
Thank you.
So there's a motion on the table. All in favor? Aye. Number 3, consideration of adopting a responsible contractor ordinance. So this was something that I've added to the agenda. And for context, I think it was 2 meetings ago. I think it was the February business meeting. We have.
Those
Oh, the
wires are.
skirt fell off too. I didn't notice that.
I think that's what it was, and it pulled.
Okay.
It's fault. He's claiming response.
No, I said the skirt fell and it pulled your microphone off.
Okay.
Thank you, Melissa. So I believe it was the February meeting, this board created an ad hoc building renovation committee, which has been doing really remarkable work. And kind of in thinking through the needs of the township and seeing the work that we're doing, I think ahead about what might be involved should the township pursue this building renovation. And as many of you know, when the township is undertaking a project that is over how many dollars? $18,000? $25,000?
Somewhere between 22 and 25. Yeah.
Okay, the township has to put it out to bid. And the township is required under the law to accept the bid of the lowest responsible contractor, which sometimes leads to a predicament that the township would otherwise have preferred to avoid. So the problem is the law doesn't define what the word responsible means. So I'm looking at my notes here. Local officials are often faced with having to hire a bidder who they know will not do the best job, and they have to make that decision to avoid being sued. Towns and school districts, municipalities, school districts, counties can and often do protect themselves by passing what is known as a responsible contractor ordinance, which defines what the word responsible means. With an RCO in place, municipalities, counties, districts can hire the most qualified and cost-effective contractor without having fear to defend a costly lawsuit. Essentially, an RCO protects taxpayers from cost overruns and the need to redo work that isn't done properly the first time. And I mean, if you search RCO, you know, many different municipalities have them. And I'm bringing this topic forward for discussion. I didn't pick one of many.
Typical RCO that you have there
No,
from another township?
these are just my notes.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Are all the contractors that do work in Pennsylvania have to be licensed?
They have to be registered.
What type of license?
Well, general contractor.
Well,
Home repair, remodeling.
No, they just,
Not necessarily,
have
no.
to be licensed.
No, there's no, there are certain licenses, but yeah, there's jobs that and position, it's beyond just general contractors and things like that. Really, it's not necessarily even the contractor as much as it is what you're looking at is the employees they hire. Are they OSHA compliant? Have they gone through the appropriate training courses, things like that? And so license is the wrong word, what you're asking for. There's no it's kind of the right word. So no, there's no requirement. And this is kind of what you would be doing, making sure they've gone through those training, you know, the employees have gone through training programs that are approved by our labor and industry or the U.S. Department of Labor, things like that is what gets included in these ordinances.
so I would like to, I'll make a motion to ask the Planning Commission to investigate the responsible contractor ordinances and come back to the board with kind of an overall recommendation. Is this something we want to pursue? And then we can get down to the nitty-gritty of the language. That's,
So the motion is to send something to, or ask the planning commission to review a responsible contractor ordinance. Is
yeah,
that correct?
yeah, just to kind of look at a number of samples that they may collect, and we can certainly provide them with any that we come across, and then receive from them a recommendation. Do we want to make one for ourselves? And then we can get down to the language that's involved. That's my motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay.
Overall, I don't have a problem with these, except for this one section. So I guess they would work out this language somehow. It's just this one section I have a real problem with.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
the
What section are we talking about?
Did you look at it? The model ordinance?
I never got one.
Okay, well, there's a model ordinance out there and there's a bunch of them online. Most of them follow this model ordinance very closely. And it's just this thing with the journey person. 70% of the craft labor workers employed on the project shall be comprised of either journey person workers who have successfully completed a Class A apprenticeship program as defined in section 3C10 of this ordinance, or apprentices registered in such programs. The apprenticeship participation of specified by this section must be in the same trade or craft which are workers employed on the project. I would just make note, the planning commission vice chair is here, that's a section I have a problem with and they're gonna have to work on. Because most of those programs are run by the trade unions of which they're going to train under. So to me, if you're forcing employers to have these kinds of workers on them, I feel like we're putting the thumb on the scale for union shops. And not that I have anything against unions, it's just I don't want to have them have an unfair advantage in a bidding process, and I don't know how to get around that. That's where we went to that seminar and I felt that way then, I felt that way last year, I feel that same way right now. I haven't seen any ordinances that don't have that in there. So I don't know how
We
we
could
take
have it
that out.
without that in there. Is that correct?
I don't know. I
Why
don't know
not?
I don't know if that diminishes the strength of it, and that's what they're going to have to look into is if you take that out of there, does that take away the meat of the ordinance? So as long as they know that that's what they need to look
Yeah.
at and fix, I'm fine with them going ahead, they send it off.
Asking them to look at it. They may
Yeah.
decide, John,
Yeah.
to your point, that this is a waste of time and that really is
Yeah.
not in our best.
But I just want it to be said now that they need to look into that part of it specifically and see if they can't fix that somehow. So we're not putting a thumb on a scale, because we've got a lot of local contractors I don't think would qualify under this. And one of them is, I think one of the, well, that's the thing, is this area, we have not the presence that they have in lower parts of the county, like Doylestown South, where
Yeah.
it's not going to affect them too much, because they do have that already. Whereas up here, it could become onerous for them to get that in place.
The issue is, we would be required under the law to accept the lowest bidder from any, a responsible contractor. So it is the overarching rationale is to protect the taxpayers' dollars. Carl, do you have a comment?
Yeah. I kind of got wind that this was coming up and I did look at some samples. I just think we can do what we always do, is gather as much information as we can, and we don't have to put that in there.
Okay.
I don't agree with that statement either. But we will review it as a planning commission. We'll piece it and we'll put as much together that we can, I think, to protect the township. Licensing, outstanding lawsuits, on contract, insurance, all those things that we don't have anything for now. But I do agree with you. We don't want to isolate our local contractors at all. And because we have some great contractors in the township, and we want to be, to your point, we want to be fair.
Yeah, I just want to be fair. I mean,
But I think you're just reading something from Doylestown, and that's what they did. That doesn't mean we
well,
have
this is
to
a
do
model
it.
ordinance that they sent out, and most of them followed very closely. I checked ones out from the middle of the state also. Center
Yep.
County was
Center
one I
County.
looked at. That's out by Penn State.
Yeah.
So I looked at that, it's kind of a more rural area that might have the same kind of
But
issue that we
they
have
could have been
here.
influenced too. We don't have
I
to.
know.
We
Okay.
can do what's
I'm
best
just
for
giving,
us.
I'm giving
What's best for our
direction that
township.
I'd rather not have to talk to you on the phone about, I'll talk about here. And, I'm looking at that as being a major thing. Because it kind of, the ordinance doesn't look at even tech school training as being something that would qualify you. I mean, we have a lot of tech schools in the area. Middle Bucks Techs, they used to, I don't know if they still do, used to build an entire house every year with their
Right.
tech school students, that do all the plumbing, the electrical, everything is done, and then they sell the house and it gets moved.
I think
to
whatever we
another
do is not going to be perfect, but we can put some
Okay.
safeties in there that we don't run into.
Yeah,
what
I really like,
Elmer is
I
saying.
really like the rest of it for protective measures. It's just that one part that kind of, I don't want to isolate our own people.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further public comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Number 4, so National Volunteer Week and the consideration of providing some gifts to our very dedicated township volunteers. So I didn't put the date in, but I'm pretty sure that National Volunteer Week is in the month of April. It might even be next week. And our volunteers, they spend so many hours helping this board with the work of the township. I mean, if you look later on into the agenda at all the different zoning hearing boards, they're meeting, April 25th, there's a zoning hearing board. April 29th, there's a continuation of one that was last week. They really put the time in, and they sacrifice time spent with their families, personal interests. They choose to help us out. And I think it's important to acknowledge their contributions to the work of the township, even with a small gesture.
What is the gesture?
I don't know. I'm thinking, kind of off the top of my head. A small gift card to a local business. Waring's, or we have Brigadoon's Coffee Shop. We have is it Ashley's? I'm always getting Amanda's.
Amanda's.
I mean, we could do a selection. And
There you go.
and Vander Lily's Automotive and Vander Lily's Truck Sales. Thank you. And It's the week of April 21st. Thanks, Cindy. So, something small, like, I don't know.
Well, that can get.
From Desi House Winery.
Maybe a gift, maybe, a gift card, maybe in $15, $25, not anything that is breaking the bank, certainly, but something that is, a real gesture, because their sacrifices are real. What was that, Ms. Vet? I love that.
Yeah, well, that's just for your industry, though. But maybe, no, that's fine.
I need mine done
I'm
right
saying that maybe most people go to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we could do, my preference would be to support a business that we have in the township.
Amanda's, maybe?
Yeah, Amanda's, Brigadoon, Waring's, Vanderlili's. So, and maybe, maybe we have a little list of participating.
Okay.
And then our volunteers can say, you know what, for me, coffee will do the trick. And then someone else says an oil change. So that's my suggestion, $25 gift certificate for each volunteer on every board and committee and commission that we have. And I haven't done the math, Rich,
Well,
but it's probably in the area of $1,000.
It's not gonna break the bank, I tell you.
It won't break the bank.
Is that, but did you do a motion?
I'm sorry, Melissa, what was that? So my motion is create a list of local businesses and offer our volunteers on all of our boards and committees and commissions a $25 gift certificate to the local business of their choice that the township will purchase.
So it's a local business of their choice.
Local business of their, well, we'll have a list on our website,
25.
$25.
So it's like a check, and then they go to.
It's a
any local
gift
business?
card. Yes.
Gift card?
Yep. That's my motion. Does anyone second it?
Yeah, I'll second that. Sure.
Any public comment? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll be in favor, but I gotta see, how does the gift card work? I mean, I'm not sure.
So we'll send this, okay.
I have, with Visa, we're getting Visa cards?
It's
No.
fair.
Larry, are we talking about that? A gift card?
Yeah.
I walk into Amanda's, using Amanda's as an example, with a gift card. What does it say on there that, why would she accept it or why would they accept it?
It's from Amanda's.
Oh, so you're gonna get.
Yeah, we'll get a
So
list
for
of who
any
wants.
local business.
No. Oh, that's a good point.
That's
I
what you
wasn't
said.
clear. I wasn't clear then.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about is our volunteers will tell us, each one will say, for me, Vanderlili's,
Oh,
for me, Amanda's,
that's what-
Brigadoon.
got it.
And then we know from Brigadoon, we need 5 $25 gift cards. From this, we do that. And then we give it out.
And either way, when you send it out, everyone gets advertising.
Well, that's great. Yes. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Rich.
It's like an
And
oil
next
change.
time.
What's that?
Prior to our meeting this evening,
Do you want to proceed?
yeah, we met with a township resident, Cynthia Myers Long, who sent in a letter of interest indicating she'd like to be appointed to the Park and Rec Committee. And John and I met with her prior to the meeting starting this evening. And I'll make a motion to appoint Cynthia Long to Park and Rec for a 5-year term.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Be eligible for the gift card.
Yes, yes. Good question. She will be eligible for the gift card. And yes, it's a 5-year term.
For Quimby
Quimby's farm.
What is $25 gonna get you there?
Should stay.
Kicked out.
Oh, nice.
He's got.
Oh, okay.
All right, all right.
Thank you. Oh, it's okay when we talk.
Next up on the list, number
Oh,
6.
Before we move off the Parks and Rec, Parks and Rec has given us bylaws also that they were thinking about trimming their staff a little bit. And also about members who are not been attending regularly, that they need to get kind of either come to the meetings or leave the Parks and Rec. So, we now have 7 members on there and they still might struggle getting a quorum. So just at the future, we need to look at those bylaws. It's not on this month, but next month.
I thought we have a policy in place.
We do.
do.
We do have the volunteer policy is you must participate in at least 50% of the meetings in a calendar year. Otherwise, the board, it's actually, we're required to remove them. But I think what's been happening, these first 3 meetings of the year so far, they haven't had a quorum. So a few volunteers show up, but they actually can't get any official work done because they can't take a vote because they don't have a quorum. So while we do have a policy, Park and Rec is kind of a heavy sized committee. And the committee itself is asking the board to reconsider the size of it. And I think that we can do that. We can add that to our May agenda.
Gonna get that May agenda. We'll put that on.
That sounds good.
Take care of that.
We're gonna consider.
Okay, great. So number 6. The consideration of the Ronia Associates sewage management. Yes. Permit and waiver request. We have, hi, Mr. Siggety. Yes, come on up.
You want to continue? Want me to?
I was just going to say that we have all received the minutes from the March 26th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting where you appeared with maybe your counsel and your expert. And we've all, I'm sure, read these minutes and understand the motion that was made by the Planning Commission. But this is your matter. If you wanted to.
Well, the planning
Set the
commission
scene.
did make some recommendations to you and I'm hopeful that you'll adopt their recommendations and approve the waivers as they suggested.
Okay.
And that's why I'm here. And then I would just add that we have filed the revised permit with the Bucks County Department of Health today to change the system to an elevated sand mount.
Okay, which is what the Planning Commission.
That's part of the whole recommendation. That was a
Got it.
condition of the recommendation.
Mhm. Okay. So I will make a motion to adopt the recommendation from the Planning Commission. And for the record, I'll just read it. It says, my motion is for the Board of Supervisors to grant the request for a waiver from section 123B1D, requiring a separate lot for a community sewage system, subject to execution of a standard O&M agreement and conditioned upon the applicant adhering to the preferred hierarchy of septic systems and installing a single owner elevated sand mound community system and withdrawing the request of a waiver for 124A6, requiring a recorded easement for a reserve sewage system. That's number 1. Number 2, that the Board of Supervisors grant the waiver of section 139A, requiring a construction escrow and modify the performance bond required by 139B to $1,000. That's the recommendation of the Planning Commission after hearing from the applicant and his experts and after discussion and negotiation. I will also note that the township engineer was present for that meeting and was, participating as well.
So you made that motion?
I made the motion.
I'll second.
Any comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, at the planning commission meeting, Mr. Siggy mentioned that you were gonna get the reserve system also permitted for an elevated sand mound. And since he's withdrawing that, easement waiver, he is going to grant an easement for that
Correct.
reserve system area.
And that'll be part of your motion.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll amend my motion to reflect what Mr. Jenner has just said. And,
You already have a second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
you.
Mr.
And-
Liggety.
The only thing I would add is this will be relayed to Mark Fournier, and then when we get the application, we just file the or when we get the new permit, we'll just file the application and he'll review it and he'll know that these waivers are applicable.
I'll have to review the sewage permit application once you get the revised application into the township.
Okay. Okay,
And I will also coordinate with Mark
okay.
on that.
We'll produce letters with the waivers. that we
We'll get some kind of
Yes, final,
correspondence
yeah.
that, will I get that?
Yeah, it'll be sent to you, yes.
Okay,
It'll be
great.
Sent to you and the engineer.
So should I submit it to the township and he'll send it to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Submit to the township.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Number 7.
No, six.
I thought
Was
that
6
was
and
six.
7, what do you got?
Yeah,
It was
now
like
you said 6 before.
Somehow popped.
This
in-
is-
it
this is-
popped in.
Just
somehow.
call it number 6. It'll be fine.
Okay. Number 6 again, but I have something in between.
That's what we just.
Oh. Got it.
That's why I was confused.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is consideration of a township notary, and we'll turn to Terry Fedorchik for this.
Yeah, I bumped into this when I was getting signatures, board signatures for the
Bank
the
account?
Spinio.
Oh,
Is
Spinio.
that the way it's
so.
pronounced?
Yes.
Okay, the Spinio sewer maintenance agreement. And those signatures, your signatures are required to be notarized. Now, I believe in, and correct me if I'm wrong, that in the past, what you would do with Harris would.
Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that we never did the notary. I don't ever recall a notary. It was always the solicitor witnessed our signing it and that was acceptable. So I don't know if that's still
So,
okay.
okay, so, all right, so yeah, so the way the notary law works is you either have to sign in front of the notary, or if you sign in front of an attorney, I can legally say to the notary, yes, I witnessed the signature, now you can notarize it. So my guess is without having a notary, Mr. Harris used to get the document signed himself, and he had a notary in his office who
He did.
complete it.
You did.
Okay, so, and until we have a notary, we could do the same thing as well. I can take, I can get them
It's a
signed,
good
take
idea to have
take
them
them
back
back,
there.
but it is
It's a good idea.
beneficial to have a notary in your township. yeah.
Absolutely.
Staff.
Yeah, and so if it's okay with the board, then I have Kathy's willing to be the notary and we'll proceed in that direction. then.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Will that be available for town residents to come in?
No, well.
Yeah, for a
that-
fee of $25.
There would,
I mean,
well, yes, it would be, you would have to figure it out, but there is a fee that they would have to do if it's not in their employment, yeah.
Okay.
You get a gift
It's
card. for
up to
it.
the board.
That would be up to the board how their notary would work, but it would require, under the laws, because they're not in the employment, they would have to charge a fee for that work, so.
Okay, terrific. And next on the agenda, a question was raised at the last business meeting of what's the status with the executive search for our permanent township manager? And we have posted the position and we have received, as of last count, 13 or 14 applications.
Actually, we're.
Are we up to
we're
50
over-
now?
We're over 20.
Are you?
But, yeah.
Well, no, I
Sorry, Rich,
understand.
Uh-oh.
There's a
So-
few. Okay, I'm sorry.
So we are making some progress, and we have, we discussed, I think, a number of executive sessions ago to pursue a different strategy for this search, and that is underway. So we will keep you posted. It is good news. Next on the agenda is consideration to hire a financial consultant. Terry?
Yeah, at our last public meeting, I threw the notion up there out to the board that I wanted to take a look at getting some help, financial help, let's put it that way. For our staff, right now, we have a very very qualified bookkeeper. Here, however, on a part-time basis. And as solid as our bookkeeper is, she is very knowledgeable within the private sector framework, not so much public sector. So first, I thought it would be a good idea to bring someone in to coach her. But in addition to that, for the board, we went through a situation here a few months ago where you didn't have anybody. You had a lot of experience, and that experience went away overnight. And what I'm trying to establish for you is a set of circumstances where you have multiple people that you can rely on, multiple financial assets that you can rely on. There's a couple of folks that I talked to, and I'll go over their qualifications with you, who have expressed an interest in helping on a consulting basis. I want to emphasize this would be part-time. This isn't going to be someone who's going to be here 2-3 days a week. That's not what I'm talking about. You have boots on the ground right now who will be here 2 days a week. Now, these will be folks who can come in, take a look at the way we've been doing business for the last 20 years. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I'm just saying that when you change over, when you have a set of circumstances like we have right now, where things have been going well for 20 years, but a certain way, you bring a new set of eyeballs in and you take a look and see how things can improve. And there's always that possibility. I talked to 3 folks. One fellow who is local, been doing this for a long time, but he's very much stuck in Cheltenham Township, working on the finances in Cheltenham Township. I actually managed Cheltenham Township a few years ago. I think he's going to be there for a while, based on what I saw. However, I did speak to 2 other individuals, one Linda Major, and let me just go over her background for you. Linda is part of Major and Maestro accounting firm. Linda is currently working for Upper Frederick Township as their treasurer. They do monthly accounting also. They're doing monthly accounting for Lower South Hampton Township, Borough of Conshohocken Authority, and Falls Authority. In the past, they were outside accounting consultants for Warminster Township for 20 years. Additionally, they were auditors for Doylestown Township and their municipal authority, Falls Township, North Wells Borough, and Newtown Township. So they've been around. I want to emphasize, they no longer do auditing. They no longer do the township auditing. Linda will charge $90 an hour. I also talked to by the way, Linda's a CPA, obviously. Sheila Mauger, also a CPA, works for Berg Bull and Company. She has been interim finance director for New Britain Township for about 6 months, Toamenson Township for 4 or 5 months, Lower Perkiomen Valley Regional Sewer Authority for about 4 months, Lower Gwinnett Township, Skipback, New Britain. Sheila's firm charges $150 an hour. So my point of bringing these, I think it's obvious what I'm doing here. I'm trying to bring to you individuals who are very, very, very well versed in government finances. And it's not simply we're bringing them in now, but I would hope that what you're doing is developing relationships with these people long-term. And so if something happens to our bookkeeper for 3-4 months, these people who you brought in, who are familiar with our finances, you can bring them back in another situation down the road.
Yeah.
All right, so again, I'm just trying to expand for your benefit, your assets.
Yeah, well, listen, I think June does an admirable job of putting dollars, whether revenue or expense, in all the columns. Unfortunately, and she's admitted this to me, that she's a bookkeeper and she doesn't really present it in a form that maybe is a little bit more understanding of the board and the residents in terms of how it relates to the budget, how's the budget doing, and everything. And someone like either Linda or Sheila, she's pointing out, could do that. And if it's one day a week that they come in and grab all of the data that June, I'm using one day a week, and grab all of the data that June has put together and put it in a form that's easily understood by the board and the residents, I think it's well worth it to do something.
I think I agree with you. I think the goal of this, and Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, is to have this person come in and work with June and bring her up to speed onto how to give the reports the way the board wants them.
Yes.
And also to be a resource where if, okay, she gets the regular reports, but year end comes up and there's a new question, they're available to her and they're familiar with how we keep our books. I think is that the idea? Okay. I think it's a fabulous idea. I will also acknowledge, because I'm not sure that we have yet. June was brought on as a 1099 bookkeeper in December. And at the time, she was making herself available, but then there would be kind of a restriction in her hours during tax season, which is like 8 months out of the year. However, she has made arrangements with her other employer so that she is not scaling back her hours during tax season. So she's with us. And I think that it is in our best interest to help her be even better than she is. And she's great.
I'm in favor of it.
So
I'm in favor
of
Flint.
Major and Maestro.
Correct.
Yes. I'll make a motion that we engage the services of Major and Maestro to provide consulting services to June and any other employees of the township as deemed appropriate by
Our manager.
our manager or us.
I'll second it.
Okay. Public comment, Mr. Ginmo? Do you want to come to them?
Maybe this is in the wrong direction, but do you guys use QuickBooks and things like that? Is that?
There's an accounting software. It's not QuickBooks,
Okay.
but
Yes,
it's,
correct.
Yeah, I'm in accounting software.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, we do.
that can produce W-2s and W-9s and 1099s or whatever, all that stuff, right?
That's correct. But what happens is then they extrapolate that information and they put it in a form that follows our budget and what we have, line items on our budget, so we know exactly what we're doing, what we've spent, where we're overspending, where we have a little extra money, and
You
how
guys
it's working.
publish those budgets, I think, pretty regularly. They're pretty
That's what
easy
they
to
used
follow,
to do,
right?
and it was
Yeah.
great, and
Yeah.
that's what we need to get it back.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further public comment? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
So the township has received requests to provide fire, police, and traffic control assistance for upcoming events on the following dates. Haycock Township for the triathlon, Independence Triathlon on Sunday, May 19th, 2024 in Nockamixon. I believe that's at the state park. The next one is the Dublin Community Day on June 1st from 12:30 to 5 p.m. Third is the Riverside Symphonia Concert from June 29th from 5:30 to 10 p.m. And the Tinicum Arts Festival on July on July 13th from 10 to 6 and July 14th from 10 to 5. And that would be for EMT and traffic control. And with regard to the Riverside Symphonia, John, did you have
Yep.
an additional point to request?
Yeah, the part of the Riverside Symphonia concert request should also include covering Eulerstown Road. Eulerstown Road is generally, well,
Yeah,
we're gonna be
they use it
closing
for
that.
parking, remember that?
Yeah, but last year it was closed during the event.
Yeah, exactly.
And the residents were the ones that had to police that closing, and they requested that the fire police be the ones that come and do that, and the Riverside Symphonium be required to supply fire police for that intersection, also Eulerstown Road and River Road.
Okay.
So that's just a
Uh,
side note on
okay.
that.
Oh, I'm sorry. There are more on the
Yeah, there's
list.
more.
You flip
There's
the page?
two.
Right.
Okay. So next on the list is fire police assistance for Haycock Township at the Steelman Triathlon on August 4th at Nockamixon State Park, the Stover Mill Open House on Sunday, September 1st from 1 to 5 p.m. And finally, for the Stover Mill Juried Show reception on October 13th from 1 to 5 p.m. Those are all the requests that we've received over the past month. So I make a motion that we,
If the fire police are available, that's usually.
if they are available, that they will be able to provide assistance as requested. May I have a second?
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
And,
Well, there was a.
oh, sure.
It has something to do with this. I noticed last year that the airport, the car show there is getting larger and larger and larger. And there was no traffic controls there at all. And I know they're not requesting it, but I think it's something that the supervisor should
Mhm.
look into.
Mhm.
That driveway is a blind driveway
Mhm.
as it is.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on there, and there should have been someone kind of directing traffic. So maybe it's something you can look at, and maybe reach out to them, and that could be on another agenda.
So that would be a communication to the parks, Bucks County Parks, I guess. We need to make a communication to them there.
Well, why don't we start with the airport operator, right?
That would be
The airport operator, start with him. Because if
I
you-
guess, yeah.
That could be fine.
Is it Tom? Yeah, Tom, what's his last name? Tom Martin is the manager now at the airfield. So I can reach out to him and find out. What am I asking? Fire police. Do we have a date for that, Carl? Okay,
It's in October,
car show.
October something.
Great. And then with regard to the Symphonia, Chief Madden, do you recall last year, was it your department or the Public Works who brought the road closed sign to Eulerstown Road? And did that happen on the day of, or was there any kind of advance notice provided that that would be closing and not available for people to watch the fireworks?
I think the Public Works brought it down on Friday.
Okay,
He may have set it up or
okay. Do we need to, for that to happen again, we don't need a motion, right?
No,
Okay.
You can ask them.
Yeah.
All right. So we will do that, Terry. We'll ask Public Works to put that on their calendar to drop off the road closed signs on Eulerstown Road for the Symphonia, Riverside Symphonia concert, which is on June 29th. I think they also put a sign right at the bridge so that Eulerstown didn't become a U-turn spot for people who discovered when they got there that the road was closed. Did we have 2 signs? We'll ask Doug what we did last year and then do it again.
I think that, yeah, they just dropped the signs off.
Yeah.
And Damon took care of it.
Okay. We're into regular business now, under the minutes. Melissa has done a very good job at putting together draft minutes. In a very brief discussion before our meeting started, I think that some of the feedback didn't happen. So I think what would be helpful is maybe for the board to meet and look at the minutes, and then we can just put this on the May agenda for approval, and we will,
Meet with Melissa and Terry
yeah,
and the 3 board members, yeah.
so that, I mean,
So
you
we're all
know,
on the same page going forward.
right, because you could do minutes where it's basically verbatim, and that takes a long time, or you could do a very brief summary, which may not provide enough. So I think together we can meet and find that happy medium and then get the minutes in a place where we can approve them in May. So that's being tabled. Number 2 on the list is the treasurer's report for February 2024. Terry, do you have that?
I
that
don't,
emailed to us?
I got a sheet that was only revenue.
Everything, Friday, packet that I sent to you and everything.
Can you put your mic on, Kurt?
Just put it on.
Mm.
I had, I put everything in a packet on Friday, so.
That's in our packet that you emailed us on Friday.
Yes.
Okay.
That,
I thought I saw that.
well, which is what I'll do. Which is what I'll do all the time, and then what we've been doing the last few meetings. I
Okay.
made it a point to shoot things out to you all on Friday, the Friday before our meeting here. Okay, okay, maybe next time I'll have to follow it up with a phone call.
I didn't get it.
So I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure I sent it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
for that. It's my fault.
Well, I didn't get what you sent and I didn't get what Scott sent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're
Okay, well, it's
talking
not-
about the ordinances earlier, and I've seen them from the planning commission, so I knew what they were talking about,
Already.
but
Can we get rid of her?
Well, if you
Scott
want
apparently
to, just,
sent
I mean,
something.
if you want to just table it until next meeting.
Yeah, I sent the ordinance.
Yeah.
I sent the letters.
I got the letters,
Okay.
but not the ordinance.
Okay, but you did get.
I got.
No, oh,
one page,
Okay.
and it was only.
yeah, no, yeah, I sent the ordinance.
Can you put your mic on?
Yeah, no, okay, so we'll have to figure that out then. Yeah, I sent the
Yeah.
ordinance. And did you not get, and you wouldn't have gotten the draft easement from Terry then, did you?
That I got,
Oh, that's interesting.
isn't it?
Yeah, so stuff, you didn't get the stuff that was sent last week then, it looks like.
It was like Friday, I didn't get
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay,
All right.
not sure what to do.
Okay.
I mean, you can table everything and
This
we can just
email
put it.
program.
So let's do that. We'll table the treasurer's report
Yeah.
for February to May.
I'll just push it forward.
Yep. And
I would do the same thing.
And then with the payroll report, we have the amounts here. The March 2024 payroll report for 2 pay periods, the first ending March 13th, the second ending March 27th, in the total amount of $76,986.38. Are we prepared to approve that? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the zoning, we're now into conditional use and zoning. The first matter is the ZHB application, ZHB 2023-9 of Paul Weand. This matter began on March 27th and it was running late into the night. So it was continued for additional evidence. The hearing itself will be continued on April 29th at 7 p.m. The next matter is zoning hearing board application for a variance from filed by Mark Calloway. And the PC is reviewing this next week. The board, we will discuss at our work session whether or not we are having our solicitor or the zoning officer attend. And then the zoning hearing board hearing will be held on April 25th, 2024. Number 3 on the list is the zoning hearing board conditional use application for Sinclair Richmond and a septic system. This actually happened tonight already at 7 p.m. and the conditional use application was approved with conditions that were recommended by the planning commission. Essentially, this was a septic system that's already been installed, and it's been installed in the only possible place on the property, given the kind of geographical constraints. And it's a good system that ranks high on our hierarchy. So that has been approved. And number 4 is the zoning hearing board application ZHB 2023-12 of Jonathan Weiss and Wolf. This was withdrawn on March 26th. The next one also on the list was withdrawn on March 26th. And now we are at public comment. Come on up, Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, Vladimir Salamone, Headquarters Road. I just wanted to say, this has occurred in the past that the Frankenfeld Bridge gets hit by a truck and it's closed for a long period of time. And many years ago, I proposed the simple solution of erecting like goal posts, on the approach to the bridge. So that if a truck, rips its roof off on the goal post, we don't have to have a bridge out for, 2-3 weeks. It seems like, up in, on California Road, there's a bridge there, that you have to be able to go under, those, pieces. It's an old bridge. And it just seems to me that it's the, simplest solution, to a problem that, I won't say it's perennial, but I've seen it happen at least 3 times, in the time that we've lived here. And it's a bit of an inconvenience, to have to go out to River Road and back up Dark Hollow Road to come to a township meeting, or to go to, to get groceries at the Giant, so.
Vladimir, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, we did talk about that.
Yeah.
Putting up, but I think we got resistance because a lot of residents thought that they would be unsightly, that these steel bars.
Paint 'em
with
green.
Posts.
Paint them camo,
Just the fact that they're there was unsightly. I think that's what what the board had heard about, and then it didn't get any motion on it. But I think you're right to a certain extent, that if this bridge is continually gonna get hit, is that the reason why it's closed this time?
Yeah,
Again?
yeah.
Constantly, yeah.
Yeah.
Something should be done that we could, at least prevent the truck from hitting. Pardon?
Fix the other bridges. That solve the problem.
We're trying.
For every action or every react.
Well, I think that gets hit even whether that bridge was open.
They got a sign, when I worked at Mason's Parade Studio, you have to take the floats through the Lincoln Tunnel. There's a sign in front of the Lincoln Tunnel that says 12'6", and we mean it. And so all the floats were built at a 12'6" module.
Yeah. Yeah, that's once a year.
Yeah.
Cindy Gasperry. What's the status of the Golden Pheasant Bridge reconstruction, rehab?
You mean from there, when we
From a
had
year
the
and a half
section
ago.
106 meeting
Like-
in November of 22?
I have a whole
22
update
year.
today, actually. It's spoke to
Okay.
the project manager about it. Brian Rashul is his name, project manager. Because there was some confusion in a letter in my mind that they sent out to Kurt about signals on the bridge, and they talked about putting the new bridge in. And I was concerned that they meant new bridge being the one that's aligned straight across like they wanted to do. And so I want to get clarification. So I got that today. So right now, as he said to me, the consultant parties, they had a meeting for that in 2022, got input from the residents. And they have they're consulting parties or people who were parties to
Consulting
it.
parties,
Yeah.
but they never had a public meeting that they said they
Well,
would have.
and regardless, we got a lot of input from the community, so they say, and that they have looked at our resolution from our township, and that they are going to now reconstruct it as it is. And they're now doing the alternate analysis of that project, meaning they had this straight bridge plan. Now this is an
Right.
alternate. So now they're doing the analysis of all that, figuring out what they need to do to build that. So they're going to upgrade the current bridge somewhat. They're going to put some lights in to control traffic. So you only have one way going at a time. They're going to move the stop lines back a little bit. And what that's going to do is it's going to give trucks that have to come up to the stoplight a chance to be able to get over into the other lane in time to be able to get around the bridge with a trailer without hitting it like they've been doing. Because one of the problems they had to come to the stop sign there they no longer at that point have an opportunity to swing out far enough, in most cases, to miss hitting that bridge, even with the 48-foot trailer that's allowed on there. So they're gonna try to smooth that out a little bit and get it so that they have room to make that maneuver over there without running into cars coming from the other direction, which won't be happening because it'll be controlled by the traffic light. So, so what they're doing is they're calling an embellished rehab, which is just a rehab of the bridge that's there with some minor improvements that will help with flow through it, stop the standoffs you have on the bridge, get that under control, get it to where the trucks will be able to maneuver over it without hitting it, the ones that are allowed to use the bridge. And all this still needs approval from PennDOT and the interested parties, of which the township will be one. So everything's, and it's in basically what he's saying, very fancy way, it's in the design phase.
Okay, so to follow up with that, I would like to propose, also based on many of the conversations this evening and items on the agenda, that the board consider a local traffic advisory committee that works with the engineer who's doing a lot of work and road studies and the police department as well. I think it's time that we help with that burden as volunteers in the township. Please. Thank you.
And maybe we can put on the work session agenda to discuss.
Well, that's a good idea. So John is suggesting to add this to our work session that is coming up on the third Tuesday of this month.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Cindy. Mr. Quimby.
No.
Oh, were you volunteering for the LTAC? Okay. Yes, Kathy. What?
Yeah, Catherine Auerbach Center Road. Two other bridges of question on Clay Ridge Road. The two concrete bridges that are on the National Register that are owned by the county. Have you any status report on those? No
I don't believe we-
communication
No,
recently on that.
I'm trying to get it in my mind where they are. Are they still open? But, okay.
One's at very early concrete arch.
They're in disrepair is what you're saying.
Yeah, the county has
Has
made
notified.
proposals and the other one is one very similar to the Sheep Hole Bridge, but entirely concrete. So it was built by Oscar Martin
Mhm.
2 years before.
Is that the Beaver Run?
Two span.
Is that Beaver Run?
Well, they call that Clay Ridge. The other one's Beaver Run.
There's one between Giga Hill Road and Beaver Run, right? Is that
Yes.
one of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
but as soon as you turn off of Giggle Hill Road.
Right.
And it's got ugly barriers on it now and everything, and that,
Oh, right.
that one especially, I don't, Beaver Run possibly, but elsewhere in the township as well, things change with our streams primarily sometimes due to road work and not dumping stones in the creeks and things like that. But other things, stormwater events that happen, logs and things. But I think the township needs to begin some discussion on how we can do stream remediation, bank remediation, and look at some best practices so that dumping stones is not the best practice. Earth berms and plantings and things like that to keep the stream banks better and a system to clean out the streams and, just what's the protocol, get that better set up and have the best environmental standards because we have exceptional value creeks. And if something happens, big logs fall in, nothing's taken care of, or some other event, or PennDOT does a bad repair, it alters the stream channel and causes more erosion and damages other structures and
Got it.
roads and things. So I think that would be a very good thing to get some kind of ideas on and work on.
Are either of the bridges that you identified at risk, like structurally, by things that are happening in or to the stream?
Yeah, I think the one, the two-span one.
The one at Goggle
the
Hill
first-
and Clay
yeah,
Ridge?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the stream bank got altered there
Mhm.
and
Nor- yeah,
that's starting,
has
that was
actually.
eroding almost behind the supports
Mhm.
of the bridge and things. So it's
I've
really
actually-
just keeping these the streams going under the bridges. you know?
Sure.
Very simple.
Yeah. And I've had a conversation with Doug Skelton actually about the kind of the movement of the stream bed there,
Mhm.
upriver of that,
Yeah,
upstream of that
yeah.
bridge. And I think he was saying, I forget how many feet he said it would need to be addressed above it. Okay.
But it might be something that other environmental agencies may have information on how to do best practice stream management and remediation and restoration and things like that too. And also protocol on how to address property owners adjoining or other transportation agencies or whatever to make sure that these things are being taken care of properly. And so
Okay.
forth. Yeah.
Thank
but
you.
Thank you. I think it saves money in the long term.
Oh, I would agree with that. Any further public comment?
Yeah, I have one. Can I public comment?
Of course.
Check. Last year there was, in the fall, there was this, this process that happened of a crop dusting plane doing overseeding of rye in the cornfield across the street from my house, which caused a lot of consternation with a lot of the neighbors around me, including Jim Helms and his wife and so forth, and looked into that, and apparently everything was done according to plan. The problem, of course, is that the efficacy of the program doesn't seem to have worked. I think there's been very little germination, which makes sense to me, being somebody who has a degree in agronomy, that this kind of planting of rye is generally not going to be successful. And I would like to, I don't know what we can do about it as a township, but I think that this kind of a program is not something that's really good in a congested area like we're in. We're talking about 30 acres surrounded by homes. And this is something was discussed before, especially when it's not going to be that effective. I don't understand why they did it this way, why they chose this method of planting rye. The way to do it is the way a guy down 113 did it. He put a moldbird plow down, he plowed the corn stubble under, which helps take care of insects and diseases. And then he went through with a disc plow, and then he went through with his brilliant seeder and he planted rye. I think he used a brilliant seeder. He planted rye. And now it's a beautiful green carpet, which is what you're supposed to have. It comes up in the fall very quickly and provides root structure that'll control erosion and then provides organic matter that gets plowed into the ground right now. That's an accepted agricultural practice for this particular area. I don't know what we can do about the crop dusting situation, but I'd rather not see it happen again. It was kind of, it's disconcerting. I wasn't that upset about it as some of my neighbors, but it is disconcerting. I think I got better germination with the seed that ended up in my rain gutter than what they got across the street. So I don't know what the township's going to be able to do anything about this, but I'm just making a comment as a member of the public.
Sure.
Maybe just talk to them.
Well, we sent letters and they sent letters back that said, this is what we do. I don't know why they do it that way, because it doesn't have a high success rate. You generally need a decent seed bed before you plant a grass of some sort. It doesn't, not only that, but rodents, birds, everything else eats it. It's great food. So whatever. This is a matter of public comment.
Okay.
We had a couple of problems with the fireworks, from the residents down there on River Road. The July 4th issue that we're going to be taking care of with Riverside Symphonium, but also Frenchtown Borough sponsored a fireworks display for New Year's Eve, which they set off on our side of the river. And
Where was it?
looking at the video that I have, if you want to look at the video, I can
No,
pull it
I
up.
just want to know where it was.
But
Just say
it
where
was like across from Schneiderwinds, next to the bridge. Looks like that's where they were launching,
right by the bridge.
right next to the bridge. So not only are they not 500 feet away from residents, and they didn't inform anybody down there that they were going to do it, they also had no permit to do it in the township. And the fireworks ordinance I had trouble tracking down today, but it's something else I would like to put into the planning commission's hands to look into our fireworks ordinance And,
Two cards.
yeah, when we see results, then you'll get your cards. But yeah, so that's something I think we need to look into for not just the July 4th, which is this an ongoing one, the July 4th one, so that one's okay. But apparently we do not allow without permit these kinds of displays. So
That's correct.
we need to look into that particular violation and make sure that Frenchtown also gets a little communication from our township manager that we don't particularly appreciate that.
Government, the Frenchtown?
The Frenchtown Borough, I mean, it's on,
Nicole, sounds
There's
like you
three
can
of
come and arrest them all if that happens again.
there was Facebook, or it's on Facebook, I think Frenchtown Borough and two business or organizations sponsored the show. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting situation, isn't it? And it's up on Facebook and now, so I got a lot of information on that, which I will turn over to you tomorrow, and you can work on
Okay.
that. All kinds of fun things to do around here. You thought this was gonna be easy, didn't you?
Okay.
Sleepy little
Anything
cat.
else, John?
No, that's all I have here.
Okay, yes.
Al Gillen, resident. I just wanted to comment that the state actually has some laws in place regulating fireworks,
Mhm.
specifically with regards to location and proximity of horses and things like that. So
Mhm.
just want to mention that
Yeah.
that's already active.
I'm aware of that, but it's still, they leave it in the hands of the township. You're only allowed to do things according to the way the state tells you, if the municipality allows you to do it. So we, at this point, as far as I can tell, we don't allow this, except for the one occasion, which is the Symphonium, which has been going on for a long time. But otherwise, we don't allow professional displays
Do you have
of
something?
fireworks
Okay.
in the township. So
Okay.
that's what the law is, as far as I read it today.
Thank
Been
you,
a busy
Al.
day for me today.
Okay, and Rich, you have something?
Yeah, we received a notice from Michael Clement, that's our. former
good.
Oh, yeah, I
collector,
forgot about
Thank
that.
And he's demanding payment, not demanding, but he's requesting payment of $6,000 that he claims we owe him. Of course, we have expenses to hiring a new tax collector at a higher rate than what he was charging, so I don't know where we go with this.
Yeah, so I believe while he was still the tax collector before we were put in a position where we had to remove him, I believe that Terry Lewis had been in direct communication with him and explained to him what it was that she needed to receive from him in order for him to be compensated, and that as far as I'm aware, that information was never provided to the township. So I think we can have either Scott or Terry contact Mr. Clement and try to work this out.
But excuse me, does Terry, I don't even know if Terry would
I-
know what was required of him. I don't think he even knows.
Well, I
that.
think we can go through Terry Lewis's emails
Emails.
and get that. And we'll fill you in too on what transpired here. I mean, I also think, if I'm remembering correctly, he didn't complete the first
He
full
did.
year.
He did.
So, it wouldn't be the fee that had been provided to the previous tax collector for 25 years, based on a full year's worth of work.
Okay.
It's a question though to be resolved. Thanks. for
And the
bringing
last
it
thing
up.
I wanted to say, I wanted to thank Chief Madden for making that call to PennDOT, talking about the safety issue at the Golden Pheasant Bridge. You got a response, and I appreciate that. I asked her to take a look at that because it was more, rather than we're making a concern about putting traffic control there,
Mhm.
it came from the police
Oh,
that it's a safety issue, because it
yes,
was.
it is.
And she got an instant response. So
What
thank you.
what was the
That
response?
they're in the process of getting that together.
Of the lights of a traffic light at the Golden
Yes.
Pheasant Bridge? Wow, this is big news.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief. And PennDOT will pay for it, Rich?
All they said is that they were in the process of getting it together. Then Kurt came up
Yes,
with that other one, and I called Kurt about it.
I think
Said,
we all
"Kurt,
did.
Don't go for any kind of name."
Like back to back, quick sequence. Seeing nothing further, I am making a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good night. Thank you.
By the way, Steve, is that a bag of money? Is that a bag of money? That looks like something from a bank.
What's that? Did it?
Lehman Brothers.
This one did not. This one toughed it out.
Hey, Scott? So.
Diane
Yeah.
asked me about, she was supposed to be on the agenda. for
Can she do it in May?
Yeah, she said, I saw you come tonight, and so it's gonna be a long night. You don't want to be here till 10 o'clock. So I told you, get a hold of you and put it on the agenda item, just to get in here earlier.